Okay, hello everyone. I think we're at the allotted time, so I'll just get started. My name's Flora Raffai. I'm the Chief Exec of CAVA, the Cambridge Access Validating Agency, and I'm going to be talking to you today about the access to higher education or access to HE Diploma, and how it could be used as a stepping stone for you to get into university and get into higher education. So the structure of this session, we've got about half an hour together, will be I'll go through an overview presentation on what the Access to HE Diploma is, why you might choose to study it, what kind of students study it, the benefits from it, and how you could go about applying. And then I'll open it up to questions. So if you want to put some questions in the session chat box as I go, and then we can come to it at the end, and I can open it up to video questions as well at that point. So let's get started. So as I said, what I'll go through is I'll first introduce the diplomas. I'll talk about the students who study it. I'll give a specific example of the Access to HE Diploma computing, which I think is probably most relevant to everyone who's watching. I'll talk about some of the benefits of doing the diploma and then how to apply. For those who can see the screen, there'll be little bubbles, coloured bubbles on the side throughout as well. There are quotes from actual students who've done the course. So hopefully that will show you and probably sell it a bit better than I will about the benefits of doing the course. So what is an Access to HE Diploma? So it's a qualification that's been specifically designed for adults who are looking to get back into education and who may not have sufficient qualifications to go immediately to university. So it's a full level 3 diploma like A-levels or like International Baccalaureate, which you might be more familiar with. And it's really all about designed for adults to get back into education. So it's usually delivered at a further education college, or there's a growing number of online providers as well where you can do this course. And it's usually designed so you can do it within one academic year. But again, it's really flexible because it is for adults. So it's designed to fit around your work and childcare commitments. So you can often do them either in the full year, so from September to July, or you can do them in intensive 6 months. You can do them part-time over 2 years, or with online providers, you could really just start now and finish whenever you have the time to focus on it. And while Access to HE is what it's known as a general qualification name, you'll then have specific diplomas in specific subject areas. So as I mentioned earlier, I'll be talking a bit about the Access to HE computing, but you can do it in a wide range like medicine, art and design, history, psychology, engineering. So it's really a very broad qualification for those who need it. And the entire diploma is designed around helping people get back into higher education. So it's fully recognised by UK universities, it's accepted, and it'll be on their general qualification list for administration and admission. So it's a really great course to get through. So how is it structured? It's slightly different from A-levels, so it's a credit-based qualification. So you work through units throughout the year that are each worth a certain number of credits, and it adds up to 60 credits overall at the end. And of these, you have 15 what are known as ungraded units, and these are often used as an introduction to the course. You usually do them right at the start of the year, and it'll be something like Introduction to Computer Science or Introduction to Coding. And it'll give you that foundational knowledge you might need if you've been out of education for a while, and you just get an achieved or not achieved grade for that. The other 45 credits are what are known as graded units, so you can get a pass, merit, or distinction from them. And the way they're set up is that there's a learning outcome that you want to achieve by the end of the unit. It'll outline what the foundational knowledge is that you're expected to achieve, and you're assessed against it. So if you meet all of it, you'll get a pass. And then if you do it very well, then you get merit. If you do it excellently, you get a distinction. So again, it's a really good foundational knowledge, as by the end of the course, you will have an overview of all the information that you would have needed for the diploma. And it is fully recognised by the UK UCAS tariff. So again, it's a really straightforward way to go on to university through it. So, sorry, technical difficulties. So what are the type of students that do these diplomas? So if you look nationally, there's about 35,000 to 40,000 students that do it every year. And it is an incredibly diverse cohort that do the diploma. So just some figures from last year, about 3/4 of people who do the diploma are women. And it's a very, very diverse group in terms of age. So about 50% are over the age of 25, which you'd expect because it's for adults. About 1 in 5 people on the diploma tend to be from ethnic minorities. 1 in 5 will have a learning difficulty or physical disability. And about 1 in 4 are from disadvantaged areas. So you end up with a really diverse group of people with a really wide range of experiences. Because it is designed for adults, a lot of people have been working for a lot of years and then want to come back to education or retrain for a new career. And so there's a lot of valuable insight and experiences and learning that happens from your fellow classmates, not just from what's on the course. And some really great course dynamics can develop. So looking at what an access to HE diploma might look like in computing, first thing to point out is that access to HE diplomas don't have a national curriculum the way A-levels do. So each provider will have come up with their own curriculum and will have their own units that they teach. But the fantastic thing about access to HE is that all of them are designed in partnership with local universities so that they serve as a really good progression route for local universities. And as a result, there's that really good understanding that if you do one of these courses, it will apply to that local university and help you progress onwards. In terms of what's in a diploma, as I said, it can be very varied, but I've picked out some of the units that exist on CAVA diplomas. So as you can see on the screen, there'll be things such as computer science basics, maths for computing, so you'll be looking at different logical and algorithmic units, emergent technologies, hardware versus software. A lot of them will have programming and coding involved, so you'll be learning Java programming, C++ programming, and this evolves based on what universities are teaching to make sure that, as I said before, it's a good foundational knowledge. You might look at systems analysis, computer networks, designing and building databases and websites, how to do e-commerce. So it is a really broad, diverse range of units that you could learn. And this is just a generic access to HE computing diploma. There are lots of different courses that might be relevant to you that's watching. So there might be more niche subjects like access to HE game design, music technology, electronics, engineering. It can be really broad. So I would really recommend that you contact your local college or your online provider to understand what's in their units and make sure that it fits what you want to do and it fits the progression route that you want to move on to. So some of the benefits of doing an access to HE diploma are obviously, number one, progression to university. So for us last year, across all of our computing students, across I believe it's 7 of our colleges do access to HE computing, we had 94% progression route into university. And those students went on to unis such as Anglia Ruskin, Bournemouth University, De Montfort University Leicester, King's College, University of Bristol, University of Warwickshire. So it's a really wide range of universities that you could go on to and that accept the course. And in case you're wondering why it wasn't 100% progression, that was actually because 4 of our students went on, or 4% went on fully into employment straight out of doing their diploma, and 2 decided to go on a gap year. And so we're not sure if they've gone on to university yet. And the other thing to bear in mind with access to HE, that it does serve as a really good foundation for uni in terms of the outcomes that students achieve. So you might think, because it's just a 1-year intensive, do you do as well as students who've had the 2 years at A-levels? And all the research has shown that you do end up with very similar results. So I've put in a little graphic of students who had done access to HE who graduated in 2018-19. 22.9% of them ended up with a first, compared to 23.1% who had done other qualifications. So it really does serve as a strong foundation. The other important element of doing Access to HE is that it really builds up your skills to be able to go into employment, and also your confidence in able to go into employment or into higher education. So particularly for computing relating courses, a lot of the employment-based research coming back is that this is a very high growth market for new graduate employment. And so it's predicted that there'll be about 28,780 new jobs in this area over the next couple of years for fresh graduates. So it's a really good foundation to help you to get into those employment options that you would like to go on to. It also, anecdotally, I don't have a slide about this, but all of our students at the end say how much it helps build up their confidence having done one of these courses. So most of our students, being adults coming back into education, don't necessarily feel very confident in their skills and abilities. And the whole course is designed to help build that in through all of the units that are taught. So there's a lot of focus on building up academic skills, how to read and write academically, how to present, how to do examinations. So it's all really there to make sure that you feel confident moving on to whatever route you progress to. And there's a lot of course tutor support throughout as well. So hopefully I've convinced you that this is a good thing to do. And you might now be thinking, well, how do I go about applying and finding out about my local courses? So the first thing I would recommend you do is you go onto the accesstohe.ac.uk website. There's got a really good foundation of background knowledge on what Access is, how to do it, and they've got a fantastic course search. So this is updated very frequently, and it contains all the links to accredited Access to HE diplomas that exist. So if you can see the screenshot, you can put in the subject area you're interested in, whether you want to do it locally, in which case you can put in your postcode and find what's within a certain radius of you, or you can find online providers as well. So I'd highly recommend you do that if you are looking into doing a course. You then would go to the whichever provider you found to look into more, is this right for your progression routes? Usually there isn't any entry requirements to go on to an Access to HE course. Some providers are starting to ask for GCSE English and Maths, but again, that's something that if you don't have, you can be supported in doing it alongside your course, or the college might help you achieve those before you do your Access to HE course. So what I really recommend is, once you know what you want to do, to get in touch with that provider and talk through what their requirements are. If you do apply, it's usually an application form and interview that's done. And during that interview, there's a lot of information and guidance that's given, and a lot of support to make sure that this is the right choice for you and that it will be the right stepping stone to the future that you want to achieve. So I'd really recommend that you get in touch potentially with some of the online open days that are happening at the moment, because it's a great way to find out if it's the right choice for you. And I would just point out as well, for those who are interested, you might be aware that there's an advanced learner loan that exists for students above the age of 19. So if you want to do an Access to HE Diploma, you can get the full cost of the course covered with this loan. And the fantastic thing is if you then go on to do higher education and finish your diploma, the loan for your Access to HE gets written off. So you, in effect, never pay that back, which is a great way to, again, give you that stepping stone. So hopefully that's given you an overview of the diploma, how it could be a stepping stone for you, how it might be valuable. I've put up my contact details here if you've got any questions or anything you want to talk through outside of this session. But now I think we've got about 10 minutes to really just open it up. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat, or I think you can also come up on video and we can have a conversation. But otherwise, thank you so much for listening, and please ask your questions. I'm seeing that we've had a few people join, so we're just at the point of having some questions and answers to talk about access. So if you do have any questions, please just throw them in the chat and we can talk through them. So we've had a first question. What would you say to people who are worried about their math skills? I would say that's a really big focus in the access to HE diplomas to help build that up. So if you don't feel very strong about it, don't worry. That's where a lot of those ungraded units come in and really explore that and support you in doing it. So a lot of people coming in have had very basic or no memory of maths. So it really is there to support you to get through it. So I'd say, don't worry. Try the course and they will build up the skills that you need. Any other question, guys? Hi, Claire, you've got a question? That's okay. Anyone who's joined late, it's been recorded, so it'll be available at the end of the session. Okay, well, I'm aware that I'm standing between you and your lunches, so if there are no other questions, we can leave it there. Otherwise, please do just put more questions into the session, or as I said, give me an email, the contact details. Brilliant. Do I know what proportion of access graduates go straight into employment? So it's usually about 10% go straight into employment, and then about 90% go on to not necessarily university, but higher education. So that could be level 4, level 5 technical qualifications, or straight into level 6 undergraduate diplomas. So you've had another question of, does a higher apprentice count as HE for the loan? I believe it does, yes. So if it does go into level 4, level 5, then that does then lead to the access loan being written off at the end. So for anyone looking at the Advanced Learner Loan, the best place to go is the, if you just Google search for Advanced Learner Loan Gov UK, it'll come up with a really straightforward page that explains how you might be eligible, what the criteria are, and how that loan gets written off for access to HE. So I'd recommend you look at that in the first instance. Any other question, guys? Okay, well, if there's nothing else, let's leave the session there. Please do contact me direct if you've got anything that comes up afterwards. But I hope that's given you a good overview of access to HE. And I really do hope that if you think that's the right choice for you, you do go on and have every success with it. Okay, thanks everyone. Bye.